Good morning. Hi, this is Frank Messina. Gentlemen, could we just concentrate? Thank you very much. Good morning, I'm Frank Messina. This is December 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission. And before we start, we have a couple of quick announcements. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and/or on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording this meeting, please notify the chairman. I don't see anyone. Pursuant to Governor Healey's March 29, 2023, signing of the Acts of 2023, extending certain provisions of COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law 30A-20, until March 31st, 2025, this meeting of the Chatham Historical Commission is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that a person who would like to listen to the meeting while it is in progress may do so by calling the phone number 508-945-4410. Conference ID 799-730-299 #, or by joining the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. Thank you very much. Okay, the first order of business is a roll call. Bob Lear.
Yes, here.
Steve Burlingame, absent. Nancy Barr.
Here.
Stephanie Hamilton.
Here.
Sandy Porter.
Here.
Janet Tennyson.
Here.
Robert Stevens.
Here.
And the chair is here. We have a quorum. And just for the members of the public, we have a quorum, but there is still one position open on the commission for an alternate. So if you are interested, please let me or Christina know if you have any interest. Okay, the next order of business is the minutes of August 13, 2024. I up front want to thank Annie for you really captured the essence of that application relative to the tower, so we appreciate it very much. Any comments, questions, additions, deletions?
I move approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Had a second? Was that you? Thank you very much. Okay. The chair will note the presence of Mr. Steve Burlingame. You here? Good. Thank you very much. All right, so we'll proceed with a roll call on the minutes. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet? Robert?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. Again, Annie, nice job. Okay. We have 2 or 3 applications. One application which is being continued to, I guess, the September 17 meeting. We'll discuss that. But more importantly, we now have the subject of reorganization of the 2024-25 Chatham Historical Commission for the position of chairman, vice chair, and clerk. I often joke about anybody interested.
I was going to nominate Bob Lear because you had said you didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, I have thought about that, and I appreciate that stuff. And Bob and I have discussed it. Bob just came off his long tenure on the Conservation Foundation. I have a lot going on the agenda, and I could continue it another year if that's okay with Bob, whatever you like, Bob.
That's fine with me. As you said, you've got a lot of topics on there of which I am not familiar.
All right, having said that, is anyone else interested besides myself in continuing? Okay, Mr. Lear, you want to make a motion and can move it along?
Sure. I nominate Mr. Messina to be chair again for another year.
Second.
Second that.
Okay, it was a tie.
I just have a comment to make.
sir.
And I'm glad that Frank is willing to do it. He's done such a wonderful job for so long, and I'm glad you're feeling well enough that you're willing to tackle it again.
I think that was part of it. I was feeling kind of low physically and otherwise, like, what am I doing here? But no, I do appreciate your comments, and, you know, and as Bob said, he's been a very busy guy, and I think I would like to transition some of the things that Bob would like to become more familiar with. And I think the other most important thing is we do now have another staff person, in addition to Christina and Anna, the new Christine O'Grady, and I think she's here. So, you know, we might have a way to move some things along that don't require as much time from the chair. So with that, if there are no other comments, I guess we'll do a roll call on Bob's motion. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
And the chair abstains. Okay, all right, now the position of vice chair. I would like to nominate Bob Lear in the position to continue as vice chair of the Chatham Historical
I'll
Commission.
second that.
Any other comments, corrections, or other motions? Okay. Bob is doing a great job, for me personally. And if nothing more, we finally have got the idea of the motions a little bit more professionally than we used to. Which color, green, yellow, you know, so, and I do appreciate that. All right, we'll do a roll call. Bob,
I'll abstain.
Steve,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay. Now the position of clerk. Steve, do you want to continue?
Absolutely.
Okay. Steve wants to continue as clerk, and everybody keeps telling me I should give him more work, but we'll talk about that. Okay. The clerk is kind of an undefined position, except it's there. I guess back in the days before everything electronic and the minutes were done by a person rather than, I remember when I was on the commission, I think we used to do our own minutes, and then Sandy was there at the time. Okay, any other, I'd move that we move that Steve Burlingame to continue in position of clerk of the Chatham Historical Commission.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments, discussion? None? All right, Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
I'll abstain.
Nancy,
Yes.
Steph,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, there's no vote on that, but Stephanie, I think you have another year in your position on CPC, okay? And traditionally, just for other members of the board, we do have some new members, that traditionally has been a 3-year appointment by the select board, and the commission basically suggests to the select board who we would like to, and traditionally, we have been rolling that position. And so next year, think about that, if someone else would like to step in the chair.
I've been thinking about it.
All right, good. So we're organized. I don't know, that may be an overstatement. All right, we have a couple of public hearings. As I said, 75 Hallway Street is being continued to September 17th,
Excuse me, Frank, it would be October 15th.
15th.
October
requested.
15th. Do they get, how many chances do they get?
I can look into that. I'm not quite sure.
I mean, you know, we're printing a lot of paper, October 15th. So we need a motion to continue the application of 75 Holloway Street, 24017, to our October 15th meeting.
I so move and add that it's at the request of the applicant.
Thank you. A second, please.
Second.
Thank you very much. Okay, Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. You do have documentation, you have the application, which killed a lot of trees, but you also have correspondence, which Christina has provided you, which unfortunately we'll probably do it again, from the Cape Cod Commission, Sarah Korjeff, on that application, because it has been before us a number of times. Okay, having said that, getting on to business, 24021, 17 Dusty Miller Lane. This is an application to be filed in accordance with Chapter 158, an application by Edwin Lopez. Is he here? Mr. Lopez, are you online? Does he know he has to be here?
They do. I will send an email and hopefully,
All right. With the non-appearance of the applicant, I would like to propose that we, because there are some questions, we continue this application to our next meeting, which is September,
September 17th.
got that one right? Okay. Can somebody give me a motion to that effect?
I move.
Excuse me, sir, are you Mr. Lopez? All right, thank you. Sorry.
Definitely.
There was motion in a second?
I move we continue this application to September 17th in the
Second.
absence of the applicant.
Okay,
Second.
second, very
Yeah.
good. Bob,
Yes?
Steve,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Janet,
Yeah. Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Robert, I apologize, technically you shouldn't be voting, but that's all right. I'd like to hear your voice, your docile tones. All right, thank you very much. I don't think we broke any laws. All right, it's going to be a real short meeting. So we move on to,
23 Mill Hill.
hold on one second, just getting myself a little confused.
23.
Yeah. Are you here for 75?
No, I'm here for this one, 23 Mill Hill.
Can you shed a little light on 75? I mean, like,
Lucky for me, I have no light to shed on 75 all the way. I haven't discussed it with Mr. Riley at all, so I'm
oh,
not
this
sure.
is Mr. Riley.
Yeah, it's his project.
He's
so.
that other guy.
He's that other guy, so.
Oh, good. His fault. All right.
I can
No,
talk about this one, though, if you
Yeah,
like.
yeah. No, I just was, what's going on?
No, honestly, I haven't been involved with it at all, so I'm not sure what the,
Could you,
background
being
is.
you work in the same office, just tell him to drop us a line, like, what's
yeah, be
going
happy
on?
to ask him.
Yeah, we
today
don't
when I see
mind, I mean, we don't mind, but it's a big application, it's a lot of information, and we're gonna get a hernia carrying it around.
him. Yeah, I'll mention it to him when I see him in the office later today.
Okay, great, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're now going to be discussing 24019, 23 Mill Hill Lane. And this is to be heard in accordance with Chapter 158, and also as part of Provision 12E of the Cape Cod Commission Regional Policy Plan, as this is situated and is a contributing structure in the National Registered District. All right. Is Leslie going to be with us, or you're going to speak?
She is not. Leslie had a medical appointment. She could not reschedule.
Okay,
so,
great.
I'm here today for the
All right, why don't you-
application. We were here back in July, I believe, in front of this commission for proposed additions. After that meeting, the applicant, in discussions with their contractor and the engineer, part of the proposal, if you're looking at the elevations in front of you on the south elevation existing, they were proposing a second story over the L connector in the middle there. And that was deemed to be issue in terms of feasibility and structural soundness of that proposal. So they've, in front of you today is an alteration to the proposal. I think Leslie did a very nice job explaining that as part of the application, but I'll touch on it briefly as well. The right-hand side, that is gonna be exactly the same as the addition that was before you back in July. It's a bump out on the front to create a new entryway for some more space for the Friendly family. I should mention Andrew and Kelly Friendly are both online today as well. And then instead of doing the second story addition over the L connector, they're going to, on the left-hand side, they're gonna bump out that portion of the home to create the additional living space that they're looking for as part of the addition. At your prior meeting, you determined that the changes did not negatively impact the historical integrity of the structure. I'd suggest, I think, the changes for this proposal are even less than what were proposed last time in terms of the impact and the visual integrity of the historical nature of the structure. So we'd hope that you would find the proposal to be satisfactory, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I did get a feeling of deja vu as I pulled up the street again. So we approved it previously, and they're back here just for that change?
So they, I believe there was a second-story addition that cannot be supported, so they are coming back with with a new application, because it's a
Okay, so the
vast
first application is
difference.
null and void, so to speak?
Correct.
Yep, it's a different design, so we wanted to come back. I believe we
Say
had to
again?
come back. It's a different design, so I believe we had to come back to show you the changes.
Okay, so just procedure-wise, so we just forget about that first one, it's gone. Okay. Again, personally, a cute little house, and I think they're trying hard to preserve the historical integrity of it, but that's my opinion, so let's go around and see how other people feel. Other members of the board? Nancy?
I was at the site inspection and definitely think that these changes are less imposing than the initial one, which was okay in and of itself, so I would definitely support this application.
Great. Sandy?
Hi. Leslie did a great job with the changes. I support the changes and the application, and thank you for saving that tree.
Oh, I should have mentioned that,
Yeah.
yes. The other pear
Thank
tree
you
will be
very
saved.
much
Yep.
for saving that tree.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So that tree's gonna get,
Yeah, there was gonna be a porch addition on the L as well, and that's no longer part of the proposal, so the tree can remain.
I think we should ask the Conservation Commission if we could join forces and, all right.
I totally agree. I think it's a great change.
Yes, I agree. I would support this change.
Thank you. Steve?
I'll support it as well.
Thank you. Bob?
I'm with all those guys said.
Robert, any opinion, although you're not voting?
No opinion. I've seen it both times, and I support keeping that as a historical structure. And it just seems like everyone involved is working overtime to do what they can to save that house. So I support it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, it looks like we've got a violent agreement here. So at this particular point, we can close and see if any members of the public here or online wish to speak for or against the application. None? Okay. All right. We have a number of, as you know the drill here, a number of motions. Robert, can you move it along for us?
I think so. I move that, with regard to Chapter 158, I move that the Historic Commission finds that the building located at 23 Mill Hill Lane is historically significant because it's more than 75 years old and is a contributing structure and a National Register Historic District.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other comments from the public or anyone else in the audience? No? Okay. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. All right, number one.
I also move the Chatham Historical Commission find the proposed work to be done dated August 5th, 2024 will not materially diminish the historic significance of the building, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Any other comments from the members or the public? Okay, roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Thank you very much. There's one more, right?
I move the Chatham Historical Commission, under the Cape Cod Commission review section, I move the Chatham Historical Commission confirms that the home dwelling is contributing structure in the National Historic Register District.
I'll second.
Second, comments? Members of the public? None? Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet? The chair votes yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And-
Oh, sorry,
Which one's that?
jumping the gun.
Referral? Okay, so.
Correct. I move the Chatham Historical Commission finds the materials presented this date showing that the proposed alterations do not constitute a substantial alteration in the contributing structure in the National Register Historic District, and therefore a referral to the Cape Cod Commission for review is not necessary.
Second.
Second? Okay. Any other comments, members of the public? All right. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
We're
Thank you
set.
very much.
Thank you very much.
They should all be this week. Thank you. Okay. We're doing good. The last application. I'm sorry?
What application is it for?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I was afraid you'd come in late, it was the first.
Oh, no, I don't think so. The question is, there's nobody here for Dusty Miller Lane. Okay. Application 24020, 229 Main Street. I believe this is in reference to the Barn Cottage, to be heard in accordance with Chapter 158, and as well as in accordance with Provision 12E of the Cape Cod Commission Regional Policy Plan. Again, the Barn Cottage. This is a property, a contributing structure in the National Register District. Been before us before, and gotta find the application, right in front of me. Okay, and we were gonna be hearing this, again, for both areas. Again, this is just the Barn Cottage that we're talking about?
Correct.
It is, for the applicant, Attorney Mike Ford, Mr. Chairman, when we did the barn, when we did the house, we specifically informed the committee that we'd be coming back with the barn as a separate phase. And so the last application didn't allow us to do anything with respect to the barn. The understanding was that that would be its own application and come back and be presented to you at a later date, and this is that later date. The house is under construction, if you went out there and saw that. Or I should say, construction has started again, having been ceased for the summer. So we've applied under both because this is a National Register building and in the district, and we've applied under 158, so we need all of those findings that you made with respect to the prior application. We've worked on this for quite some time, I will tell you, with our clients, and we have also consulted, we hope you don't mind, Sarah Korjeff as well, to get her guidance. Our initial thought was to do a raise and replace and do a replica, and given the fact that this is in the National Register District, we were advised that is not the way to go. It's too complicated in terms of removing a structure that we're not sure when it was built. Frankly, you look at the assessors card and it says 1985, but then you read the Form B, and it's pretty clear that it was there in 1932, or perhaps even earlier. So what's before you now is raising the building up. It is on kind of a set of posts now, bricks and wooden posts with a lot of areas that you can see through for those of you who came out to the on-site and saw that. And to give it a brand-new skin, the materials there are not historic. The only thing we could find that was historic, frankly, was that little window on the north side if you came out to the on-site. So with all of that, why don't I just turn it over to John Barker of PSD, who's been the design architect on this project from the beginning, and he'll present to you the proposed changes for your consideration.
Yes, good morning, John Barker, Paulinus Avery de Silva. So our plan for the barn structure is to lift the existing structure, provide a sound, adequate foundation for which to set the building back down. As Attorney Ford mentioned, we will be reskinning, replacing a lot of the
What do you mean by reskinning?
new sidewall shingles, replacing in kinds.
When you say sidewall, are you talking about the shingles?
Yes, yes, sir.
Not the boards, not the structural boards?
No structural boards,
Well, how are
just
the structural boards? What's the condition of them?
what is visible is in good shape. It's in good condition. A lot of the interior of the structure has been modified and renovated multiple times over the years, and there's limited visibility or accessibility to the true historic structure. We were able to get into some of the eave spaces and attic spaces, and kind of crawl under the bottom of the building, and wherever we could get accessibility and visibility to the historic structure, everything did appear to be in sound, solid condition.
It's not post and beam, or is it post and beam?
There are some, it looks like the first floor was post and beam, and then the second floor and up into the attic was reframed at some point in the structure's history. It's lost some of the original post and beam, but for the majority of the main living space, it is a post and beam
Well,
structure.
in my experience, because I've been there years ago, we did see some semblance of post and beams relative to the issue of the age. It probably goes back to the late 1800s. And my concern right now, very simply, these old buildings, I mean, you guys have done hopefully a great job on what you did with the front of the building, but it's sitting up there, okay? And we unfortunately have a lot of experience, or too much experience of that, and buildings not being attended to or not, and I'm not denigrating at all. We just want to be careful that when we're lifting an old building, post and beam, you've got to be careful because.
Yes, fortunately, the house is already up in the air a little bit. You can crawl underneath. There's about 3 feet of space underneath the structure now. We will not have to move the structure in any way. The main
So you're not putting a
house-
basement in the structure?
We're putting just a crawl space.
Crawl space?
Just a frost wall, so we're not doing a
So you
full
don't have to go as
excavation.
high and all that kind of good
We're
stuff?
not going, full depth foundation, just a crawl space.
Okay, well, let me summarize. I apologize for interrupting, Michael. But, so the basic structural of the building, how the building is put together, what post and beam is left, and the other structures, whether they're 1890 or 1930, you're not planning to attend, when you say skinning, you're just talking the exterior.
We're replacing sidewall shingles and some of the rotted, degraded trim.
It's interesting, just quick aside, we got into a lot of trouble once with an applicant when he said that word sidewall, we're gonna replace the sidewall shingles. And he ended up taking all the boards off. He says, oh, that's the sidewall.
So
Anyway, I'm
we are
sorry.
only referring to the
The
shingles
shingles.
themselves.
Thank you.
I will
Okay.
refrain from using sidewall or skin. We're
Got it.
replacing shingles.
All right,
The majority of the windows have been replaced, and they're modern 1980s vinyl-clad windows, which we will be replacing and upgrading. You can see we have our existing elevation in the top left of the image on the screen, along with a photograph of the existing east or street side elevation. And below, we have our proposed east elevations or street side elevations with the large barn doors, both in the closed and open position, just to see the kind of two options for the east elevation. If we go to the next page, this is as we rotate around the building on the south side of the structure. You can see the small circular window Mr. Ford was referencing earlier, which is an original wood framed, kind of a unique special feature of the structure. So we are repositioning, but we are salvaging and reusing the exact existing round window. And there's a couple of reconfigurations of window placements on the side elevation, as well as the back side elevation, which is on the next page. So we are moving a couple of we are moving the windows and the door within that rear elevation, which is not visible from the street. And then as we move to the north elevation, there's a large, more modern picture window, which does not meet the historic character of the structure, which we are proposing to replace with divided light, new windows.
And that concrete block chimney is gone.
Yes.
We're gonna get into a chimney discussion, so before
Yes,
you.
and that is a CMU block chimney. It's certainly not.
It's
an
a cinder
original
block chimney?
there's no fireplace inside. It's just a vent for the heating system.
So that's what that, and it's cinder block, I didn't
Yeah, it's just
notify-
concrete
it's cinder
blocks.
block, it's not brick.
It's not brick. There's no indication that it is original or historic.
Yeah, okay, well, I'll leave that to others. The one just quick question before I roll it over is the sliding doors will be operable in the new, so it's gonna be,
Yes.
it'll be open and, when you open it now, there's nothing there, or is there doors on it?
It has been infilled, so there is nothing, there's
Got it.
nothing
There's a wall
there.
behind
There's a
it.
wall.
Got it, okay, I wasn't sure.
So
Okay.
we believe the original was operable
Yeah.
and functional, and so we want to
Understand.
reinstate the operability of the barn doors.
Okay. This is gonna happen after the main house is built, or we're just interested in?
It would run concurrently.
Concurrently?
So we would pick up and start the renovations to this structure as we move into the fall and try to catch up to a completion date by the end of spring, before the
Are
summer.
you working this summer, or are you guys stopped because
We-
of the zoning board usually stops you?
We're
Yes,
stopped
we're
all
on
summer.
pause
Yeah,
for the
all summer. That's a tough one. That's a
Yes.
tough one.
So we
Can
were
I-
It's a
able,
busy area, though.
Say again?
That's a busy area, though.
Yeah, it
You could
is.
understand.
One, I'm gonna open this up, I apologize. One question, and again, on the original structure, Michael, or PSD, you know, those windows are wide open. I mean, I know you pretty much gutted the interior of the building, and we won't talk about that, that's not our terrain. But if you could just let Aaron, or whoever's in charge these days, Peter, you know, there's no question weather is getting into the interior of that building on the way that you put plywood on the inside. But just a thought, I'm not sure what's going on, it's been there a long time, and I've been meaning to call somebody and ask somebody, you know, I don't know if there's any rules on how you're supposed to close a building up, but just a thought. It's gonna make, if something happens and all of a sudden there's too much weather going into that building, we all have a problem. Anyway, too much.
And
All
we-
right, let's look for the questions and discussions. I'm gonna start this way now. Robert, you have any questions or comments?
Well, I'm not a voting member today, but I've been to the site twice. So curiosity's got the best of me here. Is this planning to be a residence, or two residents, or a
Robert?
residence with a guest house, or?
I'm sorry, I thought I heard it bouncing. Excuse me, go ahead, Robert, I apologize.
It's currently used for residential purposes. There are bedrooms in it and a kitchen currently. It's been noted that way on the assessor's records for many years. If you read the Form B, the Form B indicates that in 1932, it was used to house the employees of Acme Laundry as kind of workforce housing, back before it was called workforce housing. So yes, the intention is the kitchen,
the kitchen's being removed.
we're gonna
so it
remove
will
the
be
kitchen. It's just gonna be,
Guest house or an accessory structure. It will not be an ADU.
So it
but
won't be
will
rented separately then?
No, it cannot be rented
Okay.
separately.
Second question, again, curiosity, we talked about that little shed on the property line.
we discussed that with the clients. They indicated that they didn't have any present plans, but in the long term, they probably would like to just replace it with something exactly the same in that spot. But that may well require us to be back to see you for that and get that approved, but he hadn't given that a lot of thought as yet.
Is there evidence of the age?
Thank you. It's old. It's hard to tell what it is. There's no windows on it.
I don't think
got
it's listed in the inventory of
tar
the,
shingles.
No, that's why I said if
of
it's
the
not
National
listed in
Red, so
the
you-
inventory.
it may not have to come here, but whatever we have to do, we'll do. But I think the thinking is it might just be replaced in kind with a new shed.
Because it's virtually right on the property line. There's maybe a few inches there.
Yeah.
It's about a
Anyway, these
foot.
are not negatives, these are just curiosity.
No, we were asked that at the onsite, so I specifically asked the client after that, so.
Okay. Bob?
No questions. I'd just like to applaud PSD yet again for following some of my nitpicky suggestions on how to present things, as in existing and proposed on the same page and numbering the pages. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Steve?
The little shed has become the proverbial tail wagging the dog, has it not? And I apologize because I kiddingly made comment about it at the site meeting, and I didn't mean to get anything other than maybe a chuckle, never mind a full-blown investigation of its existence. I think the whole project is nicely done, and I certainly will support it.
Thank you. Janet?
No, no questions.
Thank you. Steph?
My one question had been about the chimney, and I think you answered it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sandy?
I agree with Bob. The application is easy to read, easy to understand, and I love that you're saving that window. It looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
I just have a question about the barn doors themselves. Are they going to be removed and replaced, or are they going to be refurbished? The actual existing, and I don't know, obviously they look like they're rotting a little bit at the bottom, but I don't know how old they are, or if you've done any.
Yeah, they're in rough shape. We are planning on replacing the barn doors. I think they're beyond the point of salvaging.
In this picture, and you were out there, if you looked at the bottom of them, you could see they're
Yeah.
rotting from the bottom up, right?
So you're going to replace them with similar?
Replace them in kind. We'll try to match as closely as practical to what's existing.
But wooden?
Yes.
Well, that's a good question. I thought they were going to just save them. Yeah. I had a pair of sliding barn doors on a 1900 house, which I replaced, and they're now in a house in Maine, still being used. But anyway, so they're in bad shape?
They're in rough
Okay.
shape, yes.
All right, any other comments? Any comments from the public who wish to speak for or against the application? All right, I think we have consensus and can proceed. Again, thank you very much for a nice, easy-to-read application. We appreciate it. We're 2 for 2 today. All right, Robert, this requires all four.
Okay, for Chapter 158, I move the Chatham Historical Commission finds that the barn structure located at, where are we here? Sorry, I put it
229.
229 Main Street, is historically significant because it's in whole or in part 75 years old or more and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, and it also possesses, it's associated with one or more historical persons or events of the town.
We have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other comments, members of the public? Okay, roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Okay,
I also move the Chatham Historical Committee find that the proposed work to be done dated August 5th, 2024 will not materially diminish the historic significance of the structure, and therefore the commission does not impose a demolition delay.
Second.
second. Thank you. Any other comments, members of the public? All right, roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
The chair votes yes.
Under the Cape Cod Commission Act, I move that the Chatham Historical Commission confirms that the building located at 229 Main Street is a contributing structure in the National Historic Register District.
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. All right, roll call. Any members of the public wish to speak? Roll call. Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. One more.
I move the Chatham Historical Commission find that from the materials presented this date, show that the proposed alterations do not constitute a substantial alteration to a contributing structure located in the National Historic Register District, and therefore referral to the Cape Cod Commission for review is not necessary.
Second.
Okay, members of the public? Members? Okay, none? Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if you could ask about closing it up, if it's,
We are restarting construction, I believe, this week, today.
I'm sorry?
We are restarting construction as of today.
Could you come and speak up? I'm sorry, sir.
We start back with work today.
And your name?
Jeff O'Neill from PSD.
Oh, are you with PSD?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well,
There you go.
should have asked that question 2 months ago. Anyway, thank you.
I'll make sure that it gets passed on to Mr. Polimas as well, Frank.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a comment, and appreciate your application. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we're on a roll here. Our next item on the agenda is new business, or new old business, or old new business, and it's related to our concerns on demolition by neglect. Christina passed out a copy of a memo which we received from Ryan Christenberry back in September 21st, 2023. Geez, it's been a year since we've been able to do anything. And I believe that CO out there is Christine?
Christine O'Grady, town planner.
Hi, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
Good.
Good, how are you?
I'm great, and thank you very much for joining us, and we appreciate it. And I guess of all the items we have, and unfortunately we have at least 2 or 3 others, this one is, when I say items, things that the commission has been addressing on, let me introduce you to the members of the public. This is Christine O'Grady, who's now just recently appointed as the Town of Chatham town planner. That's the proper title?
Yes.
That is the proper title now.
Thank you very much. And Christine, with her many duties with the planning board and other boards, I guess has been asked to assist the Historical Commission as the previous planners have done in this particular issue. Have you had a chance to look at Ryan's work and any suggestions or comments on how we could proceed?
I have started to look into it. I also met with Christina and Katie Donovan, in charge of community development. We did meet last week regarding it. I have reached out to the Cape Cod Commission. We will be going over where they left off exactly. We have a meeting scheduled for next week to talk about the options and decide the best course of action going forward. So I'm not completely up to speed at this point, but I am working on that. And I found it very interesting today to sit through some of your projects that you're working on, some of the proposals that came before you. They were definitely, the plans looked fabulous just from my brief observation on the screens here. I think people put a lot of thought and consideration into some of the projects that came before you today.
Well, that's an interesting comment, and I appreciate it. Good thing you weren't around about 25 years ago and seen the back of the envelope applications we used to get. Because Nancy, who myself had been around since then, and yeah, it's been a journey. I like that new word I use lately. Getting the public and specifically the major contractors who are usually involved in Chatham, and if I could speak for the commission, some of the guys in Chatham who do a lot of work they understand the drill. Make it simple, keep it simple, and straightforward, and it's a lot less. It's when we get a complicated application that's so difficult to file, it just creates confusion and delay, for everybody. And I think from your perspective, they're customers out there, and we're supposed to be treating them as customers, but we have, regulations that we have to follow. But certainly if we have a good application that makes it understandable and what the guidelines are, I wouldn't even call it the rules, the guidelines, it makes things a lot easy. Well, back to the issue of demolition. I did share with you, and I think the members of the commission, two properties in town that, I guess I'm the new property maintenance inspector here. My history with this issue of demolition by neglect in another community, about 40 years ago, the town hired a property maintenance inspector, and I don't think we want to go that far. This is Chatham. But I think there is a sentiment in the community when they see an historic building or just an old building or any building, being neglected, vines growing over, roofs leaking. And then they come back to us and they say, oh, well, this building is old and falling apart, and then it puts us between the rock and the hard place. And I guess what we're trying to do, I think I'm speaking for the commission, see a lot of head shaking in the right direction. We think that the public needs to be made aware of, you can't just ignore a building and let it rot away, especially if it's built in 18-something. There are some obligations. How we do this, and because it's not us, it's not the Historical Commission, we have no regulatory authority as far as that's concerned. And that's why I think the commission, has asked Katie, to you, to have your office involved, and certainly we will support it. And we've been through in the past 8 or 9, 10 years a number of bylaw changes, and we realize the drill. Got to put something together. We've had, and I guess the process we've used is once we have something that you agree, Katie agrees, the list that you have something we can present, that we, as a commission, meet informally with the zoning board, with the planning board, with CONSCOM, the other regulatory boards, and get comments back. And before we go forward to the Board of Selectmen, with something concrete and proposal. Does that sound reasonable in that approach?
That sounds very reasonable, because obviously you need feedback, and you need a group standing together with you on anything that you move forward with in this particular case.
Okay, well, I'm not looking for another meeting, but you indicated you are meeting, and I think Bob and I and at least the leadership of the commission would be happy to sit in if you think it's necessary for us and get our comments. Now, Stephanie Hamilton in the past had taken the lead on the commission in some of the initial research with Ryan Christenberry, sorry, too many Christinas around here. So she's somewhat aware of what we have done. I personally have been in touch with the chair of the Orleans Historical Commission. They have one, which is kind of limited, and that had always, from my perspective, and I think the commission agrees, that had kind of been a model we might want to do. And I'd use the proverbial, get your nose under the tent, start, get through the select board, get through the boards, and then town meeting, because this is required 2/3 vote, with something which is not intrusive. But if we, as a commission, the Historical Commission, and may HBDC and the other boards, show our concern demolition delect for historic homes, very historic homes. The way they did it in Orleans, and I believe, Stephanie helped me here, it was only buildings which are on the National Register, correct? Which, we got.
I thought that Orleans was too weak.
Yeah, it was much too weak. And there's only, for Chatham, there's like 20 structures, which are on the National Register. But most of them the town owns, like the Railroad Museum, the windmill, things like that, and some individual structures, the brick building. So, but I think, from my perspective, and I'll open up to the other members of the commission, we'd like to go a step further. Maybe start off with historic buildings in a National Register district, which are contributing structures. For instance, we're dealing with that today with 2 buildings, 2 of our applications. We have 2 applications for 2 buildings to be significant changes. Now, we agreed to the changes, and luckily, these buildings are contributing structures in the National Register District, but luckily, they are being maintained. But if we had a situation where there was a contributing structure in the National Register districts, that's with plural, that we would like to have some protection of those buildings. if we do that, and I think the town of Chatham and the people in the town realize we're not trying to be overly invasive, I think that's a beginning, you know, to get to the public that we're concerned about it. Like, for instance, I sent you an email and members of the commission of two other buildings, which I was concerned about because they were being neglected. Neither of one is in the HBDC. It's in an historic district, not just an historic district, but that is being allowed, in my opinion, to not be maintained. And I've asked Jay Briggs to, hey, what's going on? Haven't heard back. But I think that's, you know, not taking the Orleans, and I've looked to Steph, taking the Orleans ordinance and moving up a step higher. Now, Chatham has three
Absolutely.
historic districts. Well, actually four. We have the Old Village National Register District. We have the South Chatham National Register District. We have the Marconi RCA District. What am I forgetting? And we have the Historic Business District. So there's four. Now, to make matters a little bit more complicated for you, don't you love this new job you got? Is that the town of Chatham, specifically this historic district, applied for recognition of the Stage Harbor Road National Register District. Now, what happened is we submitted extensive documentation to Mass Historic that Stage Harbor Road is eligible as a National Register District. Mass Historic came down, we had site visits, we had meetings, et cetera, and Mass Historic determined that Stage Harbor Road is an eligible National Register District. We never submitted the full application because, quite candidly, about 60% of the people who live on Stage Harbor Road, I'm not denigrating, I have a lot of friends on Stage Harbor Road, did not want to be listed. Technically, the way the statute is written, you don't really need their permission to be listed as a National Register District. But Mass Historic generally will not formally make a district a National Register District if a majority of the people in the district are not comfortable with that. So now you would say, well, we failed. Well, we didn't fail, because the Cape Cod Commission, as with the act, the Cape Cod Commission Act, whatever year we passed that, has determined that properties in an eligible National Register District are in fact that are worthy of protection and review. So if we have a property in an eligible National Register District, all the efforts and the regulatory business we just went through with these other houses are in effect. And legally, we have the right to impose our decisions on an eligible National Register District property. I know that's long-winded and complicated. I'm happy to spend more time with you at point, but I just wanted to, bring you up to speed, and also the members of the board and the public of where we're going. So I think, I think Steph's shaking her hair in the right way, and she's the one who did most of the work before you came on board, that we'd like to try that. Like, all the contributing structures in a National Register or eligible National Register District would be worthy of some protection, so we could avoid demolition by neglect. Boy, this is a long speech, I apologize. But, Kristen, it's a complicated issue, and we appreciate someone who's got more legalistic understanding to proceed with this.
One of the
Yes.
things that I had looked into is what's going to happen if it is neglect? What do we do? And I thought that should be part of it.
Well, that's the devil's in the details.
But
You got a lot-
that's not a part of Orleans.
No, Orleans had no enforcement at all, yeah. Okay. Christine, you still gonna stay with us? No, I'm saying that we're giving you a tiger by the tail here, we didn't give you the easy one up first, so. No, but I appreciate you
Yeah.
spending some time on it.
I think I'll have a better understanding once I actually speak to them next week, on where exactly some of these other projects have ended up. And I think one of the biggest questions that we'll ask of the Cape Cod Commission is, what kind of numbers they see. We're also thinking about reaching out to the other communities to see what kind of applications they get, or what kind of, how many enforcement issues they have, that type of thing.
Okay. Now, just to clarify my comment, I maybe didn't hear you, but you're meeting with Sarah Korjeff, Cape Cod Commission?
I am, her and a woman by the name of Chloe. So I had reached out last week after I had spoken to Christina and Katie. Sarah had been on vacation, and so she kind of needs a little bit of time to get up to speed on a couple of other things that she had been working on prior to vacation.
Okay, do you know
So,
Sarah?
I don't have the actual, we're gonna do it sometime Tuesday afternoon,
Do you know Sarah
but we
Korjeff?
don't have a definite time.
Do you know Sarah?
So Sarah and Chloe.
Yeah, okay, because Sarah started looking into this about 3 years ago for us, and she's been very helpful. Unfortunately, this is it's not an area where there's a lot of documentation. Well, thank you very much, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Okay,
I will give you the times and everything once we actually, work it out, if she thinks it's appropriate, or if she thinks it's appropriate first that we just meet and then go from there, but I'll keep you posted on it for sure.
thank you very much. Any other questions from how we're proceeding here, folks? All right, Christina, we'll hold off on other projects for you, but but just if you could hang in there for a couple of minutes, I do want to just mention a couple of things as far as our agenda, okay? Can you stick around?
Okay, that's fine, absolutely. Yep, yes,
All
I
right.
can.
All right. Okay, I think looks like we might be off and running again, so that's good to hear. Back to old business, just very quickly. The first one is the update of the survey plan. Have you heard anything from Katie? I've just been negligent. I haven't had a chance to talk to her about the funding for this thing.
I haven't, I can check in with her today.
Would you? Okay, we're talking about, we had that meeting on updating the Form As and Bs. The next step was getting some information from Katie on how we would proceed. I'm not trying to be naive about it. It requires funding, and it has to be in accordance with whatever priorities Katie and community development has. Another item, the second item, which is fully funded and underway, is Holly Herbster, PAL, and the efforts to give me the information, or us the information, that we could submit to Mass Historic to determine the eligibility of the William and Ann Nickerson Homestead Archaeological Site as a National Register site. Well, that would be another one. Not that there's anything there, but it would be another National Register district. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay? Last item on old business is the return of the historic U.S. Coast Guard boathouse, adaptive reuse as a shellfish upweller at 90 Bridge Street. As we all know, we've been working on this for 20-some years, and it looks like hopefully it's going to come to a decision, and that is the efforts at special town meeting September 16th. Hopefully, all the members are supportive and will attend the special town meeting on September 16th for a positive, and unfortunately, it requires 2/3 vote for that effort to proceed. So wish luck. Hopefully, it'll not be a one-vote decision. We've done in the past. Dennis, demolition delays, anything that you can report, Christine?
Nope, all of the things are current on the agenda.
Oh, the only comment I would make, I just realized, 322 Bridge Street, which expired August 24th.
No, that expires in February.
Oh,
They
February, yeah,
withdrew
excuse me.
from ZBA in August of last year.
Yeah, right. The owner, just for transparency, the owner of 322 Bridge Street, I can't remember his name, approached me at, where were I? I was at the Creative Arts Center Festival, and the word is he's going back before ZBA, you know, and I think his comment is, as far as I know, he still plans on demolishing that building. And that building was 17-something, and it's a shame. You know, my plate is full. There's nothing else we could do, or can do at this point. I mean, we could have done something maybe 2 years ago when he first started this and get it listed on the National Register or something, but it's, you know, it's gonna be a shame. That building's coming down, and I'm not sure what he's gonna be putting up there, but that's 322 Bridge Street. I did have a slimmer hope at one point, is one of the neighbors said if he could buy it, and the owner would sell it in a minute, because he's had so much aggravation, but it looks like 322 Bridge Street is coming down. That's just for information. Continuing on page 2, I don't want to get into this because we're already talking too much, but I was asked in reference to Zero Cross Farm Road, the owner of an adjacent property who's before Conservation Commission had asked me some questions as a result of the archaeological surveys we did in the area, as well as with the I'll get it out, the Nickerson Family Cemetery adjacent to this property. And so I think we did what we should do. When somebody in the public asks a question, I says, yeah, we did an archaeological survey, and we did a survey of the cemetery, and guess what? There's a lot of archaeological resources there. And so this woman, her name is, I'll get it out. Help me here. Carolyn Whittle, and she asked me, you know, if I could comment on it, and I listened into the Conservation Commission. That's where this application is, and she brought up the subject of potential archaeological resources there. The town of Chatham has no bylaw. We have no bylaw to protect archaeological resources. If you would read the archaeological survey, which we completed twice, one 15 years ago and again last year, if you read the recommendations in the comments, I think we sent copies to everybody of the copies of the recommendations.
I
If
can
not-
look into it. I
So
don't remember.
what I'm going to do is ask Christina not to send the whole report to you, but just the end of the report, which has 2 or 3 pages of suggestions that the commission or the town of Chatham can take to protect archaeological resources. Guess what? A lot of towns do that. I mean, Lexington, Concord. Now, we're not Lexington, Concord, but we're close, okay? You know, a lot of truly, truly historic locations do that. I think in the town of Chatham, we go beyond that. We may not have Lexington and Concord, but we do have, you know, people living here 10, 15,000 years ago. And there are archaeological resources, burial grounds, et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, long story short, I was asked, could I write a letter to Mass Historic? And I did it, and you have a copy of it. And the letter is to the state archaeologist, Executive Director Brona Simon. And I very simply, I said, hey, there's a significant amount of disturbance of land at Zero Crosswind Farm. We've done an archaeological survey. We did a cemetery survey. Can you give me some, or us, the town of Chatham, some advice and assistance? And I actually spoke to someone at the office. And the answer to the question is, nobody could stop the owner from doing it. It's his property, okay? If he uncovers graves there, he's got to go through a process to carefully notify the police, notify the Wampanoag Indians or whoever it is, and they come in, they verify that, and they take various actions. The common practice is to do nothing more than to just to put it right back in the ground. By doing that, they may ask him, well, don't put the garage here, can you put the garage there? You know, that kind of thing. And the issue here, quite honestly, and if Christine has nothing to do, you know, at some point, if we want to consider taking that action with a bylaw, which says if you are gonna disturb a large amount of property, and the survey has indicated there's a high degree of sensitivity that there are archaeological resources buried there, you should take a look before you dig. That's all. If you look before you dig, then you know, if you don't look before you dig and you uncover, then it just delays. It's a delay, it's no different than what we do with architectural buildings. We don't say no, we just delay and stop and think about it. So anyway, and the owner in this case of the property, he's quite sensitive to the archaeological resources that may be on his property. And point of fact, his family did a dig on the property back in '82. So he already knows and is sensitive that he's going to be building in an area where there's either an extension of the Nickerson family cemetery or some other ancient, I'll use that word, archaeological resources. So this is just pro forma. It's the chairman of the commission, your chairman, I don't know, for another year, taking it, a citizen asked, hey, can you look into that? I don't have any authority, but I said I'd be happy to write the letter, let somebody, so. That's the subject. If somebody has nothing to do with their life and they want to consider putting something together to ask Christina, maybe 4 years from now, to think about a bylaw change to do that, we've done the groundwork. We have done the groundwork. We did this information to know where those sensitivities are. I'm done on that subject, unless anybody's got something to say. Last but not least, Monomoy Theater property. We're waiting for the court to decide what happens to the area above the Monomoy Theater and whether we will or will not have a theater coming back or saving that building as well as the Washington Tail House. I don't believe we're going to lose either of them, but the question is, if we get a reasonable decision from the court, Mr. Clark, who's the owner, says he hopes to save the building as a theater, and we'll not have something in the future. Like everything else with historic preservation, it takes a long time, okay? I'm talked out. Anybody got any issues or comments or questions? Yes, Steve.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the property,
But
regarding the property on Bridge Street, the upweller, how many other upwellers are there in town, do we know?
how many in Chatham?
Yes.
It's just the one, in the old,
There's only one. That's it.
My understanding there was several, and
I think are you talking upweller where we grow clams or where the herring runs are? There are multiple herring runs.
No, this is now, I'm not talking about herring run, I'm talking about upweller, where they
Upweller is
they
where,
grow
where
little
they
clams
take
into bigger
seed.
clams, yeah, but I know what they do.
Just one.
It's just, and where's that?
It's in the boathouse, it's in the first floor of the harbor master's office. You ever been there?
I have not seen it.
Yeah, if you go there, you can see what,
So that's the present upwelling facility that we have, that,
yeah, that's been there for a lot of years, and the building is kind of in very bad shape, and now it's a commercial now, without being political. And what's happening is that all the equipment is failing, and it has to be replaced. And
Gotcha.
so Serendipity, they were looking to build a new building at 90 Bridge Street, 30 by 60. And some of the people I've been involved with the boathouse says, hey, the boathouse is 30 by 60. And they're on, Serendipity, hopefully if we get a positive vote at town meeting.
thank you.
I have a question.
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know if I'm allowed to ask this. What's happening with the old calico cat?
Oh, well, happy, it's going very well.
What's the red, are they gonna be painting it? Is that the red
He said they're
stripes?
gonna paint it. Yeah.
Oh, would
He
he,
said, your brother was sick. Yeah, he said they're gonna paint it.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
watch it, you're talking together, we gotta get on the mic. If you have something to say,
Yeah, he explained that when he came before us, that those red stripes were just for where they're working and they have to take the exterior off and then rebuild them and put them back, and they're not gonna stay those
Yeah,
red
those are
stripes.
just the temporary
The temporary holder.
internal parts and
Yeah.
all the wood.
well, they're not, I'm coming now, I'm gonna join. Those 4 or 5 poles, which affect, if you look at them, is an American flag. If you get close, it's a red, white, and blue. What he did is those poles, or metal poles, are the actual items that are physically gonna support the
Right.
second floor. that's the metal. What he's gonna be doing is, as Janet said, he took the old ones off, he's rebuilding them, then he'll put it up around it.
So he's restoring actually the original wooden columns and putting them
Columns,
back.
yeah.
So you will not see what you see now.
Yeah, thank goodness, he's doing a lot of work, and we did broach the subject of what color he's gonna paint the building.
He said it won't be white.
But we didn't get an answer, so we'll take what we can get. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we did it. Thank you. Unless somebody has something else to say, any members of the public out there want to add something? No? Guess-
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Oh, nice motion.
Second?
Motion's here. We go to roll call. Unless any comment? Bob?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Steph?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, and I'm sure Robert agrees. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.